What is going on, guys? Appreciate all the new people in here today. Should be a good time. Let a couple more people get in here before I start completely breaking down this slate and strategy, because I think there is a pretty solid strategy. Just getting in the bare minimum information, especially in these very first couple of games, could lead you to cashing pretty comfortably. And I have a couple of GPP plays as well. I'm going to turn on some music so it's just not my voice. Okay. We have 27 minutes till lock. Let's go. What is going on, guys? Okay. So, I think one of the most straightforward ways of attacking this slate right now is whenever you get confirmation that a team is going to play their starters into the third quarter, you just want to take advantage of it. So we know a couple of these first teams in the first couple of games are going to play their guys 24, 25 minutes, and we don't really have that information in the later games. So if it so happens to be these first couple games are the only ones with teams playing that much, and then you're waiting till these later games and we find out they're only playing the first half, playing these early teams is going to be very, very beneficial, and you are going to be a lot better off doing so. So the Philadelphia 76ers, they're obviously without a ton of players. No Ben Simmons, Joel Embiid, Tobias Harris, Charles Bassey are all out on this team. Tyrese Maxey is going to grab the start, mostly in the regular season as well with no Ben Simmons. I think he is an amazing play. Andre Drummond, very, very good play at $5,600. Averaged 1.2 fantasy points per minute last year with the Los Angeles Lakers. And, this starting lineup is 3 spot-up shooters, and then Tyrese Maxey and Andre Drummond, who I think are going to facilitate the ball quite a bit. But with no Joel Embiid, Tobias Harris, and Charles Bassey, this team is as thin as possible at the center position. Andre Drummond obviously getting the start. Paul Reed coming off of the bench and should play all the way through the fourth quarter. I think he plays backup center in the first half. Possibly if Andre Drummond plays in the third quarter, and then he's going to play all the way out through the fourth quarter. Now, a lot of people are talking about Andre Drummond versus Robert Williams, which I think is a very, very good question, and it's a toss-up for me on FanDuel. I think it is a bit safer to go with Robert Williams because we do have clarification that he is going to play around 24 minutes. He's going to play into the third quarter. He averaged 1.27 fantasy points per minute last year. Their new coach Jamal Hill alluded to that they know what they have in Al Horford, and he is probably not going to play in this game. So I like the chances of Robert Williams playing 24 minutes, being super, super active out there. I think he's a safer play than Andre Drummond, but Andre Drummond is a great play in itself. You can play both on Draftkings, on FanDuel. Unfortunately, you can only play one of them. They're pretty interchangeable for me. On Draftkings, at least, you get the $1,100 discount on Robert Williams, and that goes with the rest of the Boston Celtics. I mean, Jalen, we know that they said that they are going to play no more than 24 minutes, which means they may not get to 24 minutes, but what it does say to me is that they are going to play past the first half. So guys like Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Robert Williams are all A-tier plays for me. Absolutely love all 3 of those guys. And like I talked about earlier, I mean, if you know for certain that some of these guys are going to play into their third quarter and they're good plays and they're good players on their team and they garner usage on their team, go ahead and plug them in your lineup. You're going to be a lot better off doing this throughout the preseason, just having the certainty of your players instead of waiting until later in the slate for these guys. Is 3 Celtics too much? I have Tatum, Brown, and Time Lord. I can go up from Brown and get to MPJ or Ingram. So I think MPJ plays about the same amount of minutes as the Celtics, and I do like him more than Jaylen Brown, especially with no Jamal Murray, no Will Barton, and no Nikola Jokic. Michael Porter Jr., one of my favorite plays on the slate. So would go ahead and play him over Jaylen Brown. What's going on, Jay Flyer? Greasley. Should I run 10 lineups in the preseason tip-off or like a 180 single entry high variance type of night? Man, it's tough. The payout structure in the main contest is pretty disgusting. Obviously a lot better in the 180, but I think there is not very much content out there for the NBA preseason. So I think the lower dollar stuff is going to have a lot of dead money today. So, and on top of that, I think there's going to be overlays. So I'd probably go with the multiple $10 contest, or 10 lineups rather. And you know what happiness? Who the fuck is Time Lord? Time Lord is Robert Williams, the center for the Boston Celtics. It's preseason, ton of variants, my guy. Freedom from fear. What's with the music? Is it too loud? My bad. Reassurance. Sorry, just got here. Core plays. Yeah, so if you watched my videos earlier, I'm really on these beginning guys. And, you know, it's the same situation with the Atlanta Hawks as the Sixers and the Celtics. McMillan in the past has played his guys well into the third quarter, said nobody's going to play more than 25 minutes, but is only going to play 10 to 12 players, which means that we are going to see a normal rotation at least through the first 3 quarters. So guys like Trae Young, John Collins are very, very strong plays. We are obviously without Clint Capella, Kevin Huerter, DeAndre Hunter, but they're replaced with similar guys like Cam Reddish, Bogdanovich, Gorgui Dieng. I think Gorgui Dieng, you know, honestly, everybody's going to be gravitated towards Andre Drummond and Robert Williams, which I think in a vacuum are much, much better plays. But with there being so much variance, especially in the preseason, a guy like Gorgui Dieng is probably going to play 22, 24 minutes tonight. Going to be severely under-owned compared to those other guys. And, you know, we've seen in the past that he has very, very high upside. So there's going to be a lot of good plays on this slate that are going to be very under-owned. I kind of highlighted them in the Patreon cheat sheet, which, by the way, guys, if you guys want my complete FanDuel lineup, my cheat sheet for DraftKings, my lineup core for DraftKings, and my game-by-game notes for every single team, make sure to go and check out my Patreon linked down below. 6,100 shooting guard and DK. I'm probably going to play campaign there. I think there is a chance that the Miami Heat sit some of their players. Spoelstra kind of alluded to earlier that he's still figuring out which players are going to sit tonight. And I think if anybody's sitting on that team, it's going to be guys like Jimmy Butler, Kyle Lowry, Bam Adebayo, which is really going to open up things for Tyler Hero. He would likely enter the starting lineup, and Spoelstra in the past has played his guys through the first 3 quarters. So if the big guys are out, and then we're going to see Tyler Hero play into the third quarter, Hero would be a lock for me at shooting guard. But what is going on, Boucher? Welcome to the stream. Any players you have playing 28 minutes tonight? I don't have anyone playing 28 minutes tonight, no. I think if I had to guess any player to do that, it would probably be Scotty Barnes. But, you know, Scotty Barnes has a lot of variance in his outcomes tonight. I don't think he is a very safe cash play. I think he has a ton of upside. I think for a little bit more, you could get to a guy like Jaylen Brown. But I think Scotty is a fine play. But, yeah, nobody to play 28 minutes as of right now. Just Google NBA starting lineups. Does Poku not starting affect you, how you feel about him tonight? No, and actually, they mentioned how he's likely to start in the second half, which means that guys like Isaiah Roby, or guys like Darius Bazley, SGA, and Luguentz Dort are probably not going to be playing in the second half. They kind of mentioned that a couple days ago that they know what they have in those 3 players, and so I don't think they're going to play very much, especially don't think that they're going to play in the second half. But I think Pokusevski could definitely play. He's definitely going to be in the rotation in the first half. In the second half, he is likely to start, and they talked about the offense running through him. So I think Pokusevski is one of the better GPP plays on the slate. Get off popular guys like Paul Reed, Robert Williams down there. Massive overlay coming. Yeah, a massive overlay coming. So make sure to attack that and take advantage. Poole worth a shot. I mean, man, the Warriors in previous seasons have played their guys into the third quarter. I think Jordan Poole is set to have a pretty big season until Klay Thompson comes back. They obviously trust him, gained Steve Kerr's trust down the stretch of last season. He is in the starting lineup now. I think he's a fine play in GPPs for sure. Yeah, I think he's fine because I think that there's a chance that Curry doesn't play in the second half and Jordan Poole is going to be out there. And if you've played in-game showdowns with us, Jordan Poole, when he's not out there with Curry and Wiggins, does work. Scotty Barnes, our Time Lord, FanDuel power forward. Man, if I only had to choose one, I mean, probably Barnes. 6.4K at forward, or should I just go all the way down to Bulls? 6.4K, I'd probably go with John Collins there. John Collins looks like he should play through 3 quarters. Jackson Hayes tonight, yeah. So I initially, when I was going through everything, I liked Jackson Hayes quite a bit because Jonas Valanciunas is out in this game. So he's going to grab the start. He's been praised in the offseason, and they really just have Willie Hernangomez behind him. He should play quite a bit today. He should play a decent amount. I will say that while the starters are out there, we have not heard how much they are going to play into the second half. So that's why I'm kind of timid on playing him. But if we knew that he was playing through 3 quarters, I would get some exposure to him. But guys like Robert Williams, Andre Drummond, I think are much safer plays and honestly have a lot more upside. It's hard to go wrong with either of those guys. Scotty or Precious? Yeah, probably Scotty. Because I feel just as comfortable with Scotty's minutes as I do with Precious, and I think Scotty has a bit more upside. Any love for Towns? No, I do not. I don't think that they are supposed to play. So it looks like the starters for the Timberwolves are going to play 12 to 18 minutes today. And with him setting the bar all the way down to 12 minutes, makes it seem like Karl Anthony Towns is likely going to play just around 12 minutes because they wouldn't set that rate, that low 12 minute standard for, Russell or Edwards. I think that was made strictly for Karl Anthony Towns. And Towns has been brought along slowly in training camp so far. They already mentioned that there's no point of bringing him along too quickly since it is so early in the offseason. So I don't think Towns plays all that much today. And actually, if you're playing Prize Picks, I like his under over there. If you look at Prize Picks, there's a lot of areas that you can just bet the under on, like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. We got the under on Duncan Robinson at 21.5. Now with the potential of the Heat guys sitting, it is a bit scarier, but I don't think Duncan plays all that much. Terrence Mann or Bol. Probably Bol. I'm expecting Bol to get the start. And if you watch the Summer League at all, yeah, this guy ran that team. And I think that could be a similar situation in the second half. Payne, Tatum, Reed, Drum, okay to fill in DK core, or do Reed and Drum negatively correlate? So yeah, the thing with Drummond and Paul Reed, I think they're fine to play together just because if you look at the current roster of the 76ers, I mean, they have 2 guys, like Paul Reed's 6'9", Drummond's like 7 foot or like 6'11", and the next tallest guy is like 6'6" right now in this current roster because there's no Bassey, no Tobias Harris, no Joel Embiid. So I think that Paul Reed is going to play backup center minutes in the first half. He'll play minutes at the 4 as well in the first half. And in the second half, I think he plays the most minutes at the center position and closes that game out. And he is an extremely high per minute producer. So I think it's more than fine to play both of those guys. They're both like 1.2 fantasy point per minute plus guys, and should both see around 20 minutes, I would assume. So I think you can definitely play both those guys together. Force and Azubiki fine for GPPs. Yeah, so they're both the bare minimum. The Jazz guys aren't going to play past the first half. I think that they could. I think Terrence Force will get into the rotation in the first half, not Udoka, but I think both of them start in the second half and probably close the game out. They were the stars of the Summer League for this Utah Jazz team, and so if they can get somewhere around, 16 minutes, Yeah, I think they're fine in GPPs, but I think there's better spots to go to today. There's going to be a lot of players that are playing around 24 minutes, which I just much rather go to them. Initially, before we got all of this news, I had them as GPP plays on the cheat sheet, but things have changed recently. Thoughts on Fred VanVleet minutes? Not sure. I'm not sure. So in the first couple of preseason games last year, Nick Nurse played his starters, 17 to 24 minutes, but they started at like 17. So we might see Fred VanVleet only play in the first half, albeit without Kyle Lowry, without Pascal Siakam on the court last year. He averaged over 1.3 fantasy points per minute. So even if he plays 17, 18 minutes in the first half, he could absolutely obliterate his price tag. And if he got into the third quarter, he would be a very good play, but I'm just not sure on his minutes just yet, but I think he's fine. LaMelo or Halliburton? Yeah, so the Kings, I haven't heard exact word, but I think the Kings likely play their guys into the third quarter. That's what we saw all last year in the preseason. Same coaching. So I don't mind Halliburton. I think I trust him a bit more than LaMelo Ball. LaMelo Ball, obviously a much better per minute producer, but I do not know how much he is going to end up playing. If he enters the third quarter, yeah, he's a better play than Halliburton, but you're just playing a game right there. We don't know that information just yet. Looking like 2K spots of overlay in the main DK contest today. Yeah, it's exciting. Trent Forrest Love, I don't mind him. I mean, I just went over it. I think he's like a fine GPP play. He was a lot better earlier on in the day. If he's like your last guy in on Draftkings and you need a minimum price guy, I don't mind him. But if you're looking for a minimum price guy on Draftkings, I'd probably go with Josh Giddey over Trent Forrest. Late getting here. Thanks for doing this. Could you do a quick recap of all this late breaking news, please? So, I mean, just to go over it, I think that the Boston Celtics guys, they are to play upwards of 24 minutes today. So those guys are very safe. Al Horford probably not going to play in this game. So guys like Robert Williams, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, all very good plays. Atlanta Hawks going to play no more than 25 minutes, but that means that they're probably going to play into the third quarter. So guys like John Collins, Gorgie Jang, and Trae Young, very good plays as well. Philadelphia 76ers, they are without Tobias Harris, Simmons, Joel Embiid. So guys like Paul Reed, Tyrese Maxey especially, and Andre Drummond are all good plays. What do you think of Drummond campaign, MPJ, Scotty Barnes, and Max DK GPP court? Love it. Love it, love it, love it. Am I losing my mind, or does Paul Reed not exist on FanDuel today for the main slate? So the funny thing about Paul Reed on FanDuel is he is listed as a shooting guard. I had him in my lineup until more recent news broke. I still think he's a fine play on FanDuel. MPJ, John Collins, or Giddey. MPJ for sure. Best play under 8,800. Trae Young for me. Roby fine for GPPs? Yeah, I think so. Jaylen Brown or Porter Jr. or Jimmy Butler. Porter Jr., Jaylen Brown, then Jimmy Butler. I'm unsure if Jimmy even plays. Best play at 5,700, Andre Drummond. So just shout out Matt. Coach Pop says the Spurs will start the preseason with this group and try to get everyone minutes tonight. So that does not bode well for these Spurs players. We are likely not going to see them playing very many minutes if they're going to get everybody involved in the game. Collins or Barnes? I think Collins is probably the safer play at this point. I think Barnes has higher upside. It's just like the fact that we know for almost certain that these Hawks guys are going to play into the third quarter, it's hard to avoid them. And so I'm going to be on them quite a bit. Favorite FanDuel small forward not named Barnes or MPJ? Nah. Actually, let's take a look at small forward. Not Barnes or Michael Porter Jr. Let's take a look, actually. Oh, whoops, that's shooting guard. I mean, this was one of the harder positions to fill out too, and I just gravitated towards those two guys. There wasn't really anybody else I was all that big of a fan of. I think there's a chance that Mikal Bridges plays into the third quarter. Tyler Hero, if we get news of these guys sitting. But man, I mean, it's tough. I mean, yeah, Nickeil Alexander-Walker is a good play. It would probably be Nah at this point. It would probably be Nah. Or actually, it would be Tyrese Halliburton. Yeah, it would be Halliburton for me, Steph. If you guys are in here and haven't done so already, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. Would really appreciate it. Going to have my video out for tomorrow's slate sometime tonight or early in the AM. I'm going to be grinding out here for you guys. Make sure to join the Discord as well. It is completely free, linked down below. Time Lord or Jang. Time Lord for me. 6,800 utility. Fox is 69, isn't he? Yeah, he's 69. 6,800 or less. Probably Scotty Barnes for me. Probably Scotty Barnes. Do you like Precious? I do like Precious. He stood out in Summer League in the limited games that he played. Nick Nurse has talked him up a bunch. There is no Chris Boucher. There's no Siakam. So they are very limited with bigs. So Precious is one of the better plays down there. And luckily he is power forward eligible, so you don't have to use up one of your center spots. So I don't mind him. Minutes projection for Young, I would guess like 20 to 24, somewhere in that range. Best play under 4,700, probably Robert Williams. Shooting guard 5,600 and below on DK. As of right now, I'm probably going with Campaign. Higher on Atlanta starters or Philly starters. So it's pretty much, am I higher on Trae Young and John Collins or Tyrese Maxey and Andre Drummond? Probably the Trae Young side, I think, are safer guys. Their roles are really defined, and I think they play about the same amount of minutes. Draymond Green, Van Fleet, or Halliburton. I think Halliburton's probably the safest of those guys. I would rank them backwards. Halliburton, Van Fleet, and then Draymond Green. Although I am very high on Draymond Green going into the season. I think he plays a lot of ball at the 5, but that is really taxing on Draymond Green, and they are probably not going to try that out in the preseason. I think that is something they are going to do more later into this season and in the postseason. Vandal, Collins, or Tatum. Tatum for sure. 4.8K at guard. Let me take a look. Probably Terrence Mann for me. Yeah, Terrence Mann. Any thoughts, Taylor? Trae Young, Campaign, Jaylen Brown, John Collins, Robert Williams, Giddey, Tatum, Halliburton. Love it, man. Still have some Bobo love. I don't mind Bobo. I think he's fine. But again, he's one of those plays that I liked a lot more earlier in the day before we got more news. Utility 7,300 or below. Last piece in. Probably Jaylen Brown. Favorite center? I mean, it's tough. It's probably Robert Williams, but I mean, Andre Drummond is literally interchangeable for me. Best utility at 4,700. Robert Williams. Robert Williams for me. We got 4 minutes to lock, guys. Make sure to get your lineups in. Bagley okay if starters are playing? Yeah, so I think the Kings probably play their starters into the third quarter. Of course, we don't have confirmation on that, but if years past says anything, I think they will. I'm just not that high on Bagley with everybody healthy, especially with him playing the 4 rather than the 5. When I really liked playing Marvin Bagley, it was when he was playing at the 5. But with Rashawn Holmes there and Tristan Thompson there, he's probably not going to play any minutes at the 5. So I'm not as big of a fan as Marvin Bagley. He's not playing as close to the basket as I would like him to. High on Alexander Walker. I think he's a good play. There's no Zion and no Lonzo. So he should be the number 1 ball handler for the Pelicans this year. I think he has a lot of upside. Precious or Baisley? Precious for sure. I don't think Baisley plays all that much. Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. Would really appreciate that, guys. Collins or Brown for big GPP? Probably Brown. Probably Brown for sure, actually. Nah or Hero? Nah, as of right now. You know, there is a possibility that we get news that Jimmy Butler and them all sit, and then I would like Hero more, but as of right now, with current news, I like Alexander Walker a bit more. Is it okay to have Jaylen Brown, Tatum, and Robert Williams? Yes, I think that's fine. The usage is very, very condensed on that Celtics team, and we already have confirmation that they're going to be playing through 3 quarters. Payne or nah? Probably Payne for me. With no Devin Booker, he could either grab the start. Shemet might probably grab the start, but I think Cam Payne plays all the way through the game. He played 30 minutes last year in their first game. Reed or Precious Vacuum already have Maxey and Drum, but it's for cash.
I think there are people that help you become the person that you end up being, and you could be
Probably Reed.
even if they were
Probably Reed.
in your life forever.
It's just like, so it's hard for me to imagine Paul Reed not getting to 20 minutes today, because he's going to be in the rotation in the first half, and then the second half, he'll probably end the game as the center. Big overlay, yep. Does Paul Reed in the shooting guard position on FanDuel rank above all the other shooting guards in your opinion? At one point he did, but as of right now, I think I have... Let me actually look at what I ended up playing on FanDuel. I ended up getting him out of my lineup. I'll let you know what 2 shooting guards I'm playing in 1 second. Yeah, I ended up playing Tyrese Maxey and Jaylen Brown. Seth Curry on FanDuel? No, I'm not interested in Seth Curry at all. He's a spot-up shooter. I mean, if he burns me, he burns me, but like I don't necessarily take straight-up three-point shooters like that. Spot-up three-point shooters at that. Doesn't really create his own shot. Yeah, 76ers feel sackable with no Simmons, Toby, and Embiid. Yeah. And they literally have 2 bigs on that team. All right, guys, it is lock time. I appreciate all you new people here. I will be back here tomorrow about 30 minutes before lock to break it down like this, answer some questions. My new video will be out either tonight or early in the AM. Make sure to follow me on Twitter. Make sure to join the Discord for all the latest breaking news. You're going to want to be in there. It is completely free, linked in the description below. But yeah, I appreciate all you guys being here. And until next time.